Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Phil Carute, and I am joined by my fearless co-host, Brock Tamarino. The Phil Switch podcast is brought to you by Sal's Tire Caps. Sal's Tire Caps. It all started with a dream and a piece of plastic. Now look at us. Brock, would you like to say something to our listeners starting out the show?
Just a little reminder here. Helps the Phil Switch out. If you enjoy the Phil Switch, enjoy the show here, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast or on our YouTube channel too, I guess. So there we go.
All right. Thank you, Brock, for that. Thank you, Sal's Tire Caps, our loyal and committed, I guess maybe that's the same thing, advertiser. Thank you to Sal's. I'm excited about today's show, Brock, but if I'm being totally honest, I'm kind of excited about next week's show that's coming up too. We have Javier coming back as promised. Our producer actually was talking to him earlier this week. He will be coming back next week to provide the Phil Switch listeners with some Valentine's Day tips for 2023. So I'm actually looking forward to that. You and I won't be talking much, from what I understand, talking to our producer and working everything out with Javier. He will be doing most of the show. It sounds like we'll be introducing and hand it over to him for pretty much everything outside of, maybe I guess if we have questions or something like that. But anyway, speaking of Javier coming on next week, it got me thinking about cards, holiday cards you get for Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's Day. And this actually, it didn't just occur out of nowhere. I thought about this actually from a comedian, Kevin James. He had a bit on this card thing. And the reason it came into my head, because I was thinking about his bit, and he had this whole thing about when can you throw the card away? How soon is too soon? Can you hold on to a card too long? That's a question that I kind of have myself. Brock, what do you do when you get a Christmas card, a birthday card, in your case too, and I guess mine, anniversary card? What do you do with that card?
To be honest, I have the wife open all the cards, and I don't really know what she does with them. But I guess that's for anniversary, Christmas, but I guess if we're talking about birthday, so yeah, I guess I could answer that. I open the card and throw it away.
Do you throw it away immediately, or is there some kind of processing time that you have, or a time that you have to hold on to it?
I pretty much throw it away right away.
Okay, see, that's kind of what I do. I pretty much throw them away right away. The interesting thing that I find with greeting cards, holiday cards, whatever you call them, isn't that some type of plagiarism? Because you're signing your name or names, if it's from, you as a couple or whatever, or your family, you're signing your names to something that most people don't even write in them outside of their names. My mom used to have this saying where she would write like a little note to you about how proud she was of you or whatever. But most of the cards I get, sometimes it doesn't even have my first name on it. It just has the card, what's written in the card, and then people sign it. I kind of think there has to be some type of plagiarism going on there. I would think. I'm sure there's. I don't know. It just seems like plagiarism to me.
I've never thought of it that way, but I suppose since you're buying it, so you're buying the rights to that for that card. I mean, you're not buying the rights to every card the duplicates of that, but I guess you're buying the rights to that card so you can do whatever you want with it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know how plagiarism works with greeting cards, or if there is even a thing. And maybe you're right. Maybe you buy the rights to that specific card, and so everything's all good. I mean, I guess the writer for those cards is getting paid anyway. So what does he or she care? But let's be honest, not great writing, not award winning writing. They don't have awards for that, right? Awards for card writing. I don't think that's a thing. If that's a thing, no, it can't be a thing. There's no way that's a thing. Why would that be a thing?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a thing at all. That doesn't sound like it would be a thing. Can you imagine some like big novel writer? He really thinks he's gonna hit it this year. This is his year, and he gets beat by what, a Thanksgiving card or something that's witty.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Hey, look at our. I didn't even ask the question yet. I just asked Brock, and the lines are lighting up. So our first caller is Jeremy. Jeremy, you are on the fill switch. I'm guessing you have some input on the greeting cards. Yes, actually, I do. I would have to side with you and Brock on this. I get rid of the cards straight away. I don't understand. You know, people send the cards, which is nice. I don't. I typically don't reciprocate that. I typically get the cards and see if there's some type of contents in them, and then I discard them immediately. I don't hold on to them. I have a friend. He does the oddest things. He actually will, if the card looks nice, right? It's got a nice. It's not even a cover. It's got a nice front, I guess. He will cut those out and then he stores them away in a shoebox.
So he doesn't keep the whole card, so it's not like the whole memory or anything. Like, oh, hey, these people said happy birthday to me, and it was a pretty card.
No, he doesn't keep that at all. It's not like he has some sentimental connection to the people that sent it to him as far as the card goes. Of course, I'm sure he has some type of sentimental connection to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent him a card, I would think, unless maybe he's a psychopath. And then he wouldn't have a connection to them, but they would have a connection to him. Anyway, no, he appears to not have any type of connection there. So he just kind of does his thing, and he cuts the card in half if he likes the front of the card, and then he discards the rest immediately. So these must be like, I mean, these must be like pretty cards that he's getting. I don't know. He told me one day we were having a talk about cards, not even like this, like we're conversing. We were just, I think we were at a card store or something. He had to pick a card up for his mother, and he said, "Oh, I really like the look of this card. I'm going to buy two." And I said, "Well, why are you buying two?" And he's like, "Well, I'll cut the front off of the spare card, and I'll keep that." And then of course I asked him about that, and he said it's in a shoebox and blah blah blah. That's I've not heard of anybody. I've not heard of anybody else ever doing that. Yes, it's very strange. It's very odd. I still hang out with him from time to time, but I have started to look at him differently since that incident.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's not that odd. He just if he looks at it like if he looks at the front of the card like a work of art, which I mean, I guess technically it is. Somebody had to draw it or come up with it or conceive it or whatever. Even if they did it on the computer or something. Um, so I guess it could be a work of art, but then he's not taking very good care of it because he's putting it in his shoebox, right?
Correct. He's putting it in a shoebox, so there's not like he's caring for these, or there's like, I'm going to try to preserve these so I can sell them later on eBay or anything like that. They're just thrown into this shoebox. I mean, well, I know for a fact people do weirder things, so there's definitely weirder things that people can do. I suppose you're right. I mean, God knows what other people would do with cards that don't just discard them immediately.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's all kinds of people out there. So who knows what people do with cards? Anyway, Jeremy, thank you for calling in and giving us your 2 cents on this. And we hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. Always a pleasure. Okay, so moving on to the next caller. Next up, we have Gil. Gil, when it comes to greeting cards, what do you do with them? Once you get them, what do you do with them?
Hey guys. So this is kind of a soft spot for Gil. Um, so if you don't mind, I'll take you through the whole process of it.
Yeah, that's fine. You're only our second caller. We got some time. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so When I first receive the card, and honestly, guys, I don't even call them cards. I like to call them papers of love. When I receive, is it okay if I just continue to refer to that because that's what makes me comfortable?
That's fine. I mean, everybody heard that they're cards. You call them papers of love. So yeah, no problem. That's fine.
Okay. So when I receive these papers of love, obviously the first thing I do is look at the return address to see who it's from. And before I can even break the doorway into my house, I typically feel a few tears start to well up into my eyes. Just because, dang it, because somebody took time out of their day to think about me. And I know some people are like, well, Gil, you were just on a Christmas list and they just had to get their list completed. Okay, that's fine. But they still thought about me during the time that they were writing my address, during the time that they were putting their return address on, which some people just use those free labels they get from whatever, during the time that they put the stamp on to make sure that it found its way to my house, uninterrupted, hopefully, by a decent mailman or woman. And the time they took to lick the envelope and to seal it with love. That's all part of that love paper now. And so, yes, before I can even get into my house, as I'm looking at the return address, tears start to well up in my eyes. And by the time I've stepped foot into my house, I am typically in a full-blown cry. Just full-blown, I'm crying. And mind you, I haven't even opened up the envelope yet. I haven't even opened it. It's just these love papers. I can just feel the love coming through the paper, And so after that, I have a good cry. This probably lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. 10 on the high side, 5 on the low side, never less than 5. And I get out my envelope opener and I start to cut the envelope, and of course, without fail, a few more tears begin to drift from the wells of my what I tell people is my happy sadness, because people always typically associate tears with sadness. So I say, well, it's my happy sadness. And so I'm cutting through the envelope, and when I open up the card, I am back into a full-blown cry, just reading the words of love. And I know that Phil made a comment about this plagiarism thing. I'm sorry. Even if someone else wrote that card, that is coming from the heart of the person that sent it to you. You know how much time they spent in that store, laboring card after card, just wondering what fits Gil the best. And they found it. And so I can't help but to show a little bit of emotion. Yes, sue me. I'm showing emotion. I'm sorry. But they spent time thinking about, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional here. You can do this, Gil. They spent time thinking about Gil, about me. Dang it. And I'm sorry. And that means something. And do I keep those cards, Phil? Yes, I keep those cards. I put them back into their envelopes. I have a box. I put them in a box, and I've almost filled up an entire box. It's a big old one of those office paper boxes. I fill them. And every so often I will go back when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling down, I will go back and I will start reading through cards until I feel better again. Sometimes that takes an hour, sometimes it takes half a day, sometimes it takes the whole vacation period of a week or two, a week and a half, depending on when my vacation starts, what day it falls on, how many days I had in the bank. But that's what I do with cards.
Well, thank you, Gil. That has been very enlightening. I'm glad that you have that box of cards to fall back on in your times of trouble, times of need. And thank you, as always, Gil, for calling in and sharing your view on something. And this time, obviously, your view on something like cards. So thank you, Gil.
You're welcome, always, always.
All right, we have looks like we got time for one more caller. Debbie, you're on the line with the Phil Switch. We're talking about cards here. Debbie, what do you do when you get cards, greeting cards, Valentine's Day, birthday, Christmas?
Oh, yeah. So I get cards. Yeah, I do. Yeah, a few. I usually get cards on my birthday, just to give you guys some backstory here. Yeah. I usually get cards on my birthday. I get them on. I sometimes get cards on Valentine's Day. I think sometimes people forget about it because they're either. I'm sorry. They're either married, so they don't think about Valentine's Day anymore. I mean, they think about it, but they don't think about it. And then some people are single and sad, so they don't send Valentine's Day cards. And I mean, I single, but I don't worry about it. Yeah. And so what I do, first of all, I don't buy cards for people because it's kind of a waste of money. And then I got these cards that are really expensive. If you open the card, it plays music, and they're not even that great of songs. Sometimes they say, "Oh, well, we put a funny song in there. They say, Debbie, did you open the card?" And I tell them, I say, "Yeah, I opened the card." And they're like, "Oh, did you like the song?" I said, "No, not really. No, I didn't like the song because I don't like any of the songs in the cards because the thing is they pick all the dumb songs. They put the dumb songs in the cards. Or sometimes I've been going through when I get bored at the store and I look at cards and they have sound effects in them. Yeah, I like those even less. Yeah. Yeah, I like those even less because they're not even a song. Like nobody even put effort. It's like they open the card and it's like a dog barking. Like woof woof. It's like, ew. And it's just a dog barking. I mean, why would anybody buy that card? It's like you open the card, it's like a dog barking at you. Like, oh, look at this, a card from a friend. Oh, ew. Why did they think of me and then think about buying a card where a dog's barking? Ew. I didn't like that. No. So I don't buy cards because I don't like cards. So here's what I really do though. So I get the card right, yeah. I get the card, I open up my mailbox, and there's cards in there. Let's say it's Christmas time, okay? So I get a lot of cards for Christmas, which I don't know why, because I don't send anybody cards. So I thought maybe after 4 or 5 years, people stop sending me cards, but they keep sending them. So, yeah, I open the mailbox, and it's this whole, stack of cards. It's like in my mind, I'm like, what am I going to do with these? Anyway, I'll be honest with you. For the past, 2 or 3 years. Yeah. You know what I do with the cards, Phil?
No, Debbie, what do you do with the cards when you get the stack? I'll stick with you on your story. When you get the stack of Christmas cards in your mailbox around Christmas time, what do you do with the cards, Debbie?
Yeah, so what I do now is when I get them, I take them, I take them out of the mailbox. They can't stay in there because in the mailman gets all mad. I take them out of the mailbox, and then I go in the house, and what I do with them is I just throw them in the trash. Yeah.
So you throw them in the trash after you open them?
No. I take them from the mailbox, right? I don't want there to be confusion on this. I take them from the mailbox, and then I carry them into my house, and then I put them in the trash. Yeah. I'm not going to open them. Because, here's the thing. Why would you open it? I mean, I'm not afraid of somebody putting something in there, it's going to hurt me. But it's like, why would you open it? It's like, oh, it's Christmas time. I wonder what these cards are for. Well, of course, they're for Christmas. So it's everybody just saying Christmas. And like Phyllis, somebody said, they don't write notes in them. They just sign their name. So it's like, okay, they send me a Christmas card. They send me a because I kind of glance at the return address as they're going in the trash. Yeah. So it's like, well, they said Merry Christmas. I don't need to open the card. I know what they said. If it's around my birthday and I start getting cards, well, obviously they're saying Happy Birthday.
What, you just throw your birthday cards in the trash too?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an older, but nobody sends me anything. I don't get money in that thing. I mean, that's why I stopped like 2 to 3 years ago. I realized, it's been like a decade or more since anybody sends me money for my birthday. I'm just going to throw them away. Yeah. I mean, it's my birthday. So what's a card say? Of course, it says Happy Birthday, Debbie. And then when people say, well, did you get the card? Yeah, I got it. Did you like it? Sure. Sometimes I say sure. Sometimes I'm like, not really. Especially if I can tell it's a thicker card. Sometimes I remember who sent me stuff. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes I remember who sent me stuff and I'll be like, oh, this is one of those noisemaker cards. They're like, oh, Debbie, did you get my card? I'll be like, yeah, I got it. Yeah. And they're like, well, what did you think of the sound? I said, oh, well, I didn't like it. They're like, oh, and then I let them kind of tell me what it was. And like, oh, you didn't like the song? I'm like, no. Because they play all the dumb songs in cards. The cards get all the dumb songs. And then my friend, when I tell them that, to be like, oh, well, that card costs a lot of money though, Debbie. It's like, oh yeah, I know. It's too much money. You could have saved money. You could have sent me a box of cookies. Cookies for Debbie, If you're going to buy a $20 card because it has a dog barking, just don't. And buy me a box of cookies. Save yourself money. Cookies don't cost that much. So yeah, that's what I do. I just throw them away. I don't even look at them.
Debbie, you never cease to amaze me, Debbie. If I had thought about it a little bit before you called and I just thought, what would Debbie do with a card? Of course you would have thrown it away. Of course Debbie would throw it away. Sometimes I wish I was more like you, Debbie. Not exactly like you, but more like you.
Yeah, you don't want to be exactly like. I mean, nobody wants to be exactly like anybody else. How boring would that be? Ugh.
Yeah, well, thank you, Debbie. Thank you again for calling in, letting us know what you do with cards. And, you're always welcome back, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. Yeah. See you guys later. Toodaloo.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up. We went from somebody that has a friend that keeps the cover of cards to Gil, who keeps them forever, to Debbie, who doesn't even look at them. She just throws them away. So I think that's a pretty good spectrum there of what you can do with a card when you receive it. Oh, and Debbie said she also doesn't buy cards. So look at that. She's and that's kind of like helping the environment, right? She's not contributing to the waste. So good job, Debbie. All right, guys. This has been the Phil Switch, another episode. As always, guys, thanks for listening. If you guys would like to catch my other podcast, that is the 1st and 15th, which I co-host with Kaplowitz over at Kaplowitz Media. If you guys would like to reach out to us, you can do so by contacting us through email. That's thephilswitch@gmail.com. Again, that's thephilswitch@gmail.com. Again, like Brock mentioned at the top of the show, please, if you enjoy this podcast, if you could take a couple seconds, rate, review, subscribe. That's awesome. We always appreciate it. Guys, we wish you all a great week, and we will talk to you soon here at the Phil Switch.